Good morning and welcome back. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to make a mistake? Like I asked my son a question last week. I said, "Son, do you want to make mistakes?" He says, "Of course not, Dad. Sometimes you learn from experience." And I says, "Man, the best way to actually learn is to find someone who made the mistake and then not do it." Today in this video, what I'm gonna share with you is the biggest mistake I made trying to move forward. Because look, at the end of the day, if you're moving forward, I want you to learn this so that you don't have to go through what I went through. All right, let's jump into the intro.
Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
Moving forward is I think it's one of the biggest challenges that we have on the planet. Why? Because a lot of times we look at our reality, and the reality that we're experiencing like in the present is the results of something that already happened behind me. So yesterday when we were talking, I was saying, "Hey, what is the past?" The past is something that no longer exists. And because the past no longer exists, a lot of times we're bringing the past to where we are. And I'm gonna tell you, that's huge today. I was on a coaching call just recently, and a student was sharing with me some sharing me some true life story, sharing with me what was going on, what happened, and I saw how they were walking with the past, literally dragging the past in the present. And I was sitting there like, wow. I'm like, and wow, like literally in real time was like the whole the whole reality that they were experiencing was all because of something that already happened. But then the problem was, well, how do we move forward? So I did share with you, I'm going to give you this biggest mistake I personally made trying to move forward. And I'm going to tell you what it is. And I'm going to just kind of unpack it as we talk through it. The biggest mistake I've made trying to move forward wasn't looking back to the past. It was actually going into the future. Going into the future. See, I'm a thinking guy. Like I'm this guy. I think a lot. I go into the future all day. Like that's just something that I love doing. Why do I love thinking? Why do I love going to the future? I don't know. The future just looks bright. One of my mentors says the future is bright. Yes, the future is bright. But here's the thing. You can't stay there. It's just like you can't stay in the past. The future actually doesn't exist yet. It exists in your mind. It exists in your thoughts. You then have to come back to the present. So moving forward requires us to stay in the present, even though we are grabbing the future. We're grabbing the future, pulling our way towards it because we can see it. So a couple scriptures one that I love. And it was one where the person in the Bible, his wasn't even that he had a past. It was that someone gave him their past. I think it's in Second Chronicles, the prayer of Jabez. I always forget where it's found. But it's Second Chronicles, and I'm gonna get it just in case you want it. I'm gonna grab it for you really quick. Second Chronicles. Because no, First Chronicles, I'm sorry, it's in First Chronicles chapter 4 and starting at verse number, my eyes are not that great. That's not true. Verse number 9. Jabez was more honorable than all of his brothers, is what it says. His mother named him Jabez because she gave birth to him in pain. So his name said that she had pain. Now here's the thing. Check out this. Your name is everything, right? Or what someone says about you is everything. God wants to give us new names, But a lot of times we have an old name. So think about moving forward when someone already called you something. You know how, someone said to you at some point in your life, hey, Jay, you're shy. Hey, Jay, looks like you stutter a lot. Or, hey, Jay, you're quiet. And this and that. I'm like, I don't want to partner with any of that. I partnered with all of that when I was young. Right. So that wasn't a mistake because I didn't know. I just was given a name. Now, here in the prayer of Jabez was like, wait a second. They called me pain. But you know what? I heard that our ancestors had, God, and God did some amazing things. I'm going to ask God to do some amazing things. Oh, that you would bless me indeed, is what he says, and enlarge my territory. Put your hand on me and keep me from evil so I don't cause any pain. So Jabez says, hey man, they called me that. But you know what? I think somebody can change that. And God, he went to God and asked God to change that. And it says, and God granted him what he asked for. See, sometimes when we're dealing with moving forward and we know that past did happen. Yes, I was molested. I did have a situation or I caused a lot of problems, or I was quiet, I was overweight, I was, you know, not financially astute. Was See, because when we come in the present, I heard Giannis Antetokounmpo from the NBA. He said something so profound. I had to share it on my page. I was just like, I said, that young man is got some like he gets it. He said something that I really was just like, yo, this guy gets it. He says one of the things that he does is that he says he says, look, he don't focus on the past. Like the past is just the past. And he says he doesn't focus on the future. He says, because the future is in the future. What only thing I can do is stay in the present. I can do. This is the key thing. When we're moving forward, we must do what we are supposed to do. That's what I'm telling you, the mistakes that I made. That's what I'm telling you about my mistake, because you go to the future. Like me, I won't go to the past. Like I'll keep the past back there. And I'm like, oh, I forgot the past. But then I'm gonna go to the future. And I'm hanging out in the future, nothing's getting done. Real talk. I'm hanging out in the future and nothing is getting done. I'm no better than the person who's in the past. Because at the end of the day, nothing is getting done. I was talking to God before we came on today. I said, Lord, like, show me the gift that I need to use so that I can accomplish this goal. It says in Proverbs that a gift makes room for you. A lot of time we think, especially when it comes to our finances and the things we need, we think that time will make room for us. What do I mean by that? Time meaning if I just work a certain amount of time, I'll get the amount of money that I need. I'll get the amount of money that I want. And that's not going to happen. We're not going to get any money. We're not going to get the amount that we want. We're only going to get what time can bring us. In some cases, you can get a lot of money for your time. I know some people who charge $40,000 an hour. Some people who charge $50,000 an hour for their time for 1 hour. I know some people who charge 10, like 20,000. And that sounds weird, but they say, well, if I'm going to spend any time with someone, then it should be a little bit worth it. And if too many people ask me for time, I'm going to have to raise the price. See, because we should not want our income generation connected to time. Our gifts should make room for us. Now, how can we leverage our gifts? I'm learning this. How can we leverage our gifts that we can use our gifts in the present so that we can actually provide for ourselves, so that we can help people? That's something that we got to ask God that question, and a lot of times we don't realize that our gifts a lot of time is not the skill that we learn. A skill is good. A skill gives us, it's kind of like, hey, it gives you a way. A skill gives you a way to do something. It's like until you really know what your gifts are and how to package them and how people can benefit from them, then we go learn a skill, because that skill, like I went to and got my degree in accounting. Now here's the thing. My degree in accounting just gave me a right to say that, hey, I've at least done enough to say that I can probably do accounting, but it doesn't actually give me enough that I can earn top dollar. Because when I go into the marketplace is going to, first thing is going to say, well, how much experience do you have? That's the first thing the marketplace says. Now, if they're looking for people that's just coming out of school, then they're going to say, oh, you know what? We want people coming out of school so we can train you, so we can teach you all the stuff about the stuff that you need to know. But it comes a time in your life, in anything that you're doing, that you can then say, you know what? Because I can do something, because I know something, this is how much it is. This is how much you'll pay for that. See, but in that world, they have a tier. They say, well, if you've got 10 years of experience doing this, then we're going to pay you $80,000. If you got 15 years of experience doing this, we're going to pay you $100,000. I don't think that plan is working. So in making this mistake that I personally made, going to the future and not staying in the present, here's what I've come back to share. I've come back to share that all the things that we want are on the other side of simply moving forward. What do I mean by that? Moving forward means that, hey, if I want to say I want something, right? Think about this. I would like to be a billionaire. And I would like to, now, a lot of times you don't know how that's going to work, but I want to be a billionaire. The first thing I have to do is, in the present, what do billionaires do? Man, if I go find some billionaires, they may be readers. They may be people who are very disciplined. They may always complete, like there's things that billionaires do, or there's things that even 100 millionaires do, that then you have to say, well, let me start doing the things that they do. And I'm going to tell you, this is changing my life, because really when I look at the things that I do, if it's just the things that I do, I'm not even a billionaire. Not saying that couldn't happen, not saying that that's my goal, billionaire, but then I have to align myself with that. Like I was talking to Jenny, it might have been last week. I had a bunch of books I have out on the table. I said, man, I'm not reading enough. I'm not reading enough. I used to always reading like ferocious. I've been kind of like, I've been listening more to things. I've been listening my way to inspiration, listening my way to expanding myself. But it's like, I gotta read more. They read, they invest, they live a certain way. A lot of billionaires, they're frugal, right? They're frugal. They don't just spend their money. They find a way to take their money that they get. They make 1,000 and they try and multiply it before they spend it. And I'm gonna tell you, that's a skill, right? So we have to look at the things that we look at, where we want to go, come back to the present, and then design our movements after that. Talking to myself today. Because remember, I made the mistake. So I'm here to talk about the mistake and talk about how I'm moving forward. So if you are kind of like me and you're like, hey, Jay, man, I probably made that mistake. Or maybe you're not in the future. Maybe you were in the past, right? I've been there too, right? If the past is what we're holding on to, like there was a time when I held on to the past, meaning because of the things that happened in the past, I wouldn't move forward in the present. I wouldn't even go into the future because I would say, well, because this happened to me, I can't go anywhere. Like I've seen that, and I've seen that play out in other people's life. When I was having a coaching call, and the person was telling me how they couldn't do something. They couldn't do something because they had to wait because this thing happened already. I was like, why don't we just get rid of that? Let's just get rid of that and just do it. Well, but I didn't do this yet. You don't got to worry about that anymore. Just forget that, right? Because if we don't forget the past, then one, we're not gonna go to the future, and then then our present reality will be based on everything on our past results. All right, I'm about to let you go here. So in making this mistake, right? In making this mistake and moving forward, focusing on the future and not focusing on doing what I should do based on the future that I see. What I'm discovering is how easy it is to forego what the future says that you can have. I hope I'm talking to somebody here. If you've ever been in a situation where you haven't attained something and maybe it was a pretty big goal, and you're like, it's just probably not going to happen for me. You ever been there where you just say to yourself, it's been 10 years, it's been 5 years, it's been so long. I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think it's going to happen for me. And I was checking out something. I was not really doing research, but I'm always watching the people that are way ahead of me. And so, guy was breaking down some other successful people. Now he's super successful, say $100 million. He was breaking down the billionaires, and he was breaking them down. He says one of the things that really, and I'm just going to talk about one thing. One of the things that really make them who they are is the fact that they were in it for a long time before they became a billionaire or even close to it. They were doing it for 10, 20 plus years. So when they become the billionaire, it looks like it happened overnight. So the longevity, the time, it takes time to get to the place. It takes time to realize this future self. Like, we all have a future self, and so it's the future for a reason. That means that there is amount of time needed to get there. Okay, here's how we can explain it. Let's use a seed. There's a seed for everything. So there's a seed of billionaire status. There's a seed of millionaire status. There's a seed of, amazing body, amazing transformation, amazing relationship. There's a seed for everything. Now, here's the thing. Unlike physical seeds, spiritual seeds are different. What do I mean? A physical seed is like a seed for an apple tree. An apple tree, there's probably a set amount of time that the tree will start coming up. There's a set amount of time for a baby to be born. There's a set amount of time for it to come to maturity. So when we're talking about these things, these future things in our lives, the things that the future goals and objectives and visions, there's an amount of time that it takes to get there. It's just that everybody's seeds are different, and they will yield at different points. So if we plant the seed, it's going to grow. You don't have to worry. It says when you sow, you will reap. So our job today, if we're not going to make the mistake that I made in focusing on the future, what we're going to do is sow a seed every day into where we want to go by doing the thing or things that are necessary to get us there. Doesn't mean I'll be there tomorrow. Doesn't mean I'll be there next week. What it means is I'm not focused on next week or tomorrow. What I'm focused on, sowing the seed today. And if I sow the seeds today, I'm going to get a harvest. It says it in the word of God. When you sow, you shall reap. We're going to get a harvest. So I think that was a lot today. So make sure you don't make the mistake I made. Don't go forward and not come back and sow. Go forward. See what God has for you. Come back and begin to sow as many seeds into that as possible. Because at some point, whatever that reality is in the future, it's going to be yours. But here's what's going to happen when there's things in my life that I received because of the sowing And there was a time when I was sowing and wasn't even paying attention to when I would reap. We're going back to that time. The time when we just sow, like when you were in school, you knew we were going to get out. You never worried. Most people don't worry about graduating from high school or college. You just know that, oh, there's a process. We're going to do the same thing for our life. And we're going to do the same things for our businesses. We're going to do the same things for our marriages. We'll do the same thing for every area that needs a seed. Everything needs a seed. Why don't we plant it? Be the one to plant the seed. Be the change in your environment that people want to see. And I think God is faithful. God is faithful to give us exactly what we've sowed for. Because the reaping, there comes a time when we will reap the harvest, and I'm looking forward to that. So guys, I hope you don't make this mistake. I'm Jay Moore, a healthy accountant, helping you to account for your life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
For joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.